we go. We'll do that first. All right, thank you all for joining me. My name is Pramela. I'm a diamond with doTERRA, and this is day one, actually, of Around the Oils in 30 Days. And, I very nonchalantly say, like that I'm a doTERRA diamond, but I'm actually better known as a black diamond because I do things a little bit differently. And so I've been dubbed that by a lot of my uplines and my friends who are also in doTERRA. So what you're going to hear from me is going to be relatively unconventional. And I hope that my job here is not to tell you the things that you already know about the oils that we're going to cover, but to hopefully shift your paradigm and give you a different perspective and a different appreciation for, these wonderful little bottles. I call them army in a bottle because it really is like having an army fighting for you. So a little bit of tech stuff. If you could please make sure that you've muted yourself because part of my challenge is that, and I don't know how I'm going to do this, got like a little bit of cold hands here because, I'm too lazy to have cold feet. So it's too far to go down. So I have to do all of this in like 20 minutes in 30 days. So let's begin. Today, I'm going to talk to you about a group of oils that I call affectionately full spectrum oils. It is a term that I coined. I'm sure the word full spectrum is not copyrighted, but that's how I describe a certain group of oils. And I call them full spectrum oils because, in my opinion, they are very, very remarkable to me because they are able to do two seemingly opposite things. They are like good for two seemingly opposite things. And in this day and age, we have been programmed to kind of look at our physical or mental or emotional problems, and we compartmentalize it and to look for solutions. And we look at solutions from, like, if you're looking at it from a applied medicine standpoint, that there is this one or this group of medications or solutions that will solve this one problem. And there is always an opportunity for that to cause an imbalance to create the opposite spectrum of that problem. Now, the statement will become a little bit clearer for you as we go along. Another thing that's very compelling to me is that essential oils, hold on a second, I just got to get a few people in right now. Okay, so another thing that's really compelling to me and interesting to me is that, there are a lot of like universal favorite oils, right? There are things that everybody's like gravitates to, and they're like rock star oils or rock star blends. And everybody knows like these are the, main users for them. And we go to them. But I love the underdog oils. I love the underdog period. And so I've got a group of oils that I absolutely love, and they are not very popular oils. And at the top of that list is Cypress. Cypress, and people who know me, like they notice a pattern about me too. Like they will call me and they're like, hey, what do I do with this, this, or this? And I'll be like, oh, you want to balance out your body systems, and you want to get you want to kind of get yourself back into a place of homeostasis. And without fail, somewhere along the line, I will be like, you have to use Cypress. And, for most of us, we kind of look at Cypress. I don't know what you think of Cypress, but I mean, I think most people look at Cypress and they think, what? I don't know. I don't even know what people think of when they think Cypress. Like, can I ask you guys, like, I'm going to ask you, Martina, what do you use Cypress for? Or what do you, first thing that comes to mind, what do you think Cypress is good for?
I honestly have to tell you, I've never used it. So I'm curious to hear what you say. So it is an underdog because I'm probably fall into the category. I use the most common oils that you just know what they're good for.
Okay, awesome. Well, thank you for proving my point. I love proving my point. Okay, so I think we are echoing. So if y'all can make sure that you mute yourselves, not unmute. And I should probably do one more really quick thing. Sorry. I'm going to go live on Facebook with this as well, so that other people who are not here can join us. So I'm going to go on Oil Joy Live. For those of you who got the email, that's where I'm going to be posting all of this. I hope that, I don't get disqualified right now because I'm like yammering, but I'll get better at this 10-minute thing. I might have to, I really don't want to eat bacon, but I'm just going to go live. Okay. So, so Sandy, may I call on you? When you think of Cypress, what do you think of first and foremost?
Well, I have used it for when I needed more flow in my life. I felt really stuck. And I think it came mainly from me hearing you talk about it before, actually, but it really did work. It worked a lot. I just used it on my arms, like flowing out. It was wonderful.
Yes, thank you. So, I think we can safely say that a lot of people don't really touch their Cypress, but Cypress is amazing. It is an unsung hero, and it falls perfectly into this category of oils I'm going to be talking about today, which is, my oils are kicking in. So anyway, it falls perfectly into this category of oils that I call full spectrum oils. Okay, so let's take a look at what full spectrum oils kind of look like. So here is a nifty little graphic. Now, full spectrum oils is a term coined by me, Oil Maverick, to describe oils that clearly illustrate essential oils' ability to correct imbalances from conflicting ends of the spectrum. Because essential oils modulate natural body functions, it eliminates the danger of creating an opposite side effect of what you're addressing. Now, don't panic and don't try and take a screenshot or whatever. You'll be getting this slide, okay? So single oils examples would be Cypress, Bergamot, lemon, and blend examples would be Digestzen. So let's pause for a second and think about that. If you think about it, like Cypress is really, really good. I'm going to actually do Cypress last. Digestzen. Let's talk about Digestzen. If you think of anything digestive, there are two opposite ends of the spectrum, right? Like one, you're blocked up, another one, you're free flowing. And Digestzen works for both. You have stuff coming up or stuff that won't stay down, like all the different ends of the spectrum in that digestive, distress. Digestzen will help support your body and bring it back to balance. You don't have to think about it, correct? So it's a full spectrum oil. So the combination of the elements and the oils, single oils that are in Digestzen are so perfectly formulated that you don't have to reach for multiple products to deal with any kind of digestive situation. It will address it in some way, shape, or form. So can I see thumbs up? And if you have questions, please raise your hand. But do you understand this first part in that illustration? Yes? Okay, so here's the second thing. Lemon oil, we all love lemon oil. Everybody, that's like one of the gateway citrus oils. For me, it was wild orange. But lemon oil, a lot of us put it in our water because we're like, detox, antioxidants, whatever, weight loss, whatever your reasons might be. But if one of the major things, and I love this part, and lemon oil is always something that I make people read out loud. What's the benefit of lemon oil? Read it and fully absorb the full range of what lemon oil can do for you. And my favorite part in that long list of things that lemon oil can do is blood pressure, and then in cute little parentheses, it writes regulation, which means it doesn't care if your blood pressure is high or low. Lemon oil will bring it back to center, correct? So it is to me, I call it a full spectrum oil because it doesn't care what the issue is or where you're standing. It just brings it back to center. It brings it into that perfect homeostasis. Are you guys picking up what I'm laying down? So lemon is another full spectrum oil. Another oil that's really interesting to me, and actually it is one of my favorite citrus oils, if not my absolute favorite citrus oil, is bergamot. Now, for those of you who don't know, bergamot is an amazing sleep enhancing blend oil. It really calms the nervous system. It brings you into the state of relaxation that gets your body into the right state of mind, body, and soul to fall asleep. Bergamot is in a lot of blends that are used to support that time that, as you prepare yourself for sleep, right? But here's another thing about bergamot. If you use it in the morning, it's uplifting, it's bright, it, lifts your spirits. It is one of the most happy serotonin producing oils out there. So here again is a stark example of how essential oils do not at all in any way work along the same line as what we've been programmed to believe solutions are to problems. Because if in any other solution that you might have, be it herbal or synthetic, if you have difficulty getting yourself into a space where you are able to fall asleep easily, that solution that's herbal or pharmaceutical should only be used at night and not in the morning. And if you use it in the morning, you're going to fall asleep. It doesn't matter, right? But if you take a deep whiff of bergamot in the morning, it doesn't mean you're going to become narcoleptic. You're not going to fall asleep. You're going to feel uplifted because it's able to identify what your body needs at the time based on when your body's supposed to be producing melatonin and serotonin, and it kind of calculates all kinds of different variables. Have you guys experienced this with bergamot? Like when you use bergamot, and bergamot is in a lot of great blends that help you get into that deep state of relaxation. But when you use it in the morning, it uplifts you. Have you guys noticed that? Yes? Can I see some thumbs up? Yep. Yes. Okay. So here's another thing, right? A great memory enhancing blend is actually bergamot, lavender, and rosemary. You think, why lavender? But there it is. Or bergamot, vetiver, rosemary. And all of these oils actually are also full spectrum oils, because you can use bergamot, vetiver, rosemary at night to quiet all the racing thoughts, and during the day to help you have sniper focus. So super cool, full spectrum oils, right? So Stephanie, you said that bergamot should be in every blend. I can totally co-sign that for you. I'm game for that. So let's take a look at this statement one more time. Okay, so full spectrum oils is a term coined by me that describes oil that clearly illustrate essential oils' ability to correct imbalances from conflicting ends of a spectrum. Because essential oils modulate natural body functions, it eliminates the danger of creating an opposite side effect of what you are addressing. Does this statement make more sense to you now? Is there clarity in that? Can I see some thumbs up, please? If not, we'll talk about it later, and raise your hand and we'll talk about it later. So are we good with that? Yes? Okay, so let's talk about my favorite oil, Cypress. Whew, I'm doing okay with time, I think. Let's go. All right, here's Cypress. Let me show you how Cypress very, very clearly shows you the two ends of that spectrum. One of the ways that you can use Cypress is to prevent bedwetting. It's great for children who are bedwetting. It's great for people who have to wake up in the middle of the night because they have to use the bathroom. But Cypress also encourages urination because it's a great diuretic. Cypress prevents sweating. So if you've got sweaty feet, sweaty palms, using a little bit of Cypress will prevent sweating. I have a story about how I've got this, I had this friend who, or his acquaintance rather, who had ridiculously sweaty hands, sweaty palms. I mean, she would touch paper and there would be a wet patch. Everything she touched had a wet patch. And I put a drop of Cypress on her palm and told her to just, put it on her hands. And she did, and then we continued talking, and you could literally see where she didn't rub the Cypress oil because that area was sweaty and the parts that she did were not. So Cypress prevents sweating, but at the same time encourages toxin removal, which is the opposite of like sweating, right? And like toxin removal, part of your sweating is to remove toxins. And so it also encourages toxin removal, but it can do both, right? Cypress is very, very powerful. And it actually, when we think of like, if you get a cut and you want to kind of help that vasodilation to prevent, you want your blood to start clotting, we think of helichrysum, we think of geranium, but you know what? Cypress does the job just as well. It prevents bleeding, but it is also a very, very well-known oil for circulation. So if you have this syndrome that I call heavy legs, like, you know what I mean? Like your legs are really heavy, or you have like extremely cold feet, or varicose veins. Cypress is really good for encouraging circulation, which makes it a very powerful pulmonary oil as well. So the full spectrum function of essential oils modulates imbalances along the same body function within the same system and supports normal responses. So like kidneys, your lymphatic system, your circulatory system, that's the same body, like these are body systems. And it helps with the same body function, which is bedwetting versus urination, sweating versus toxin removal, bleeding versus circulation. It has the same range. So pretty cool, right? You guys think it's pretty cool? Yeah? So let me tell you a little bit about Cypress. Cypress is known as, it's actually one of the trees that can actually live for a long time. In fact, Cypress has been found next to trees that archaeologists have dated back to go back 4,000 years. So, and Cypress is, still like it lives for very long. Actually, Cypress can live anywhere from 2,000 to 4,000 years. It's really incredible. And what's like really cool and interesting, fun trivia about Cypress is that Cypress is actually the wood that is most used for coffins. And it started off symbolically because Cypress is actually believed to be the eternal oil. The eternal tree. So it's a way it's a symbolism of mourning during death, and it is also the symbol of like everlasting life. Weird, right? But there's so much wisdom in that. So, so one of the things that's really interesting is that Cypress was actually worshipped as a symbol of Baruth, who was the goddess of earth in the island of Cyprus. And it was so because she's not, is the goddess of earth. And they believed that Cypress is very, very powerful in like kind of transition and flow and letting go. So if you look at the emotional aspect of Cypress in your emotions book, which I happen to very conveniently have within arm's reach because I look at this thing all the time, Cypress is the oil of motion and flow. And it helps with controlling emotions, fearfulness, perfectionism, rigid, stuck, tense. And it brings about flexibility, trust, and flow with life and adaptability. So Cypress is actually a very powerful oil, and it has been used from ancient times for deep mourning, for grief, for letting go. And Cypress allows the mind to collect itself, and it takes people out of sorrow and depression, and it helps to actually most clearly regulate female hormones and female hormones and flow. So one of the big things that I always say about Cypress is like it's a juggernaut. Anytime there is anything in your body, you name it, anything that clumps together, and that clumping causes problems. Think about all the things that could be clumping together and cause problems. Cypress will break. It's like a juggernaut. So it's like, oh, you're sitting here weeping and kind of wallowing in your own little, pity party or gossip column or whatever. I'm going to break you up and scatter you, mourn and get over it. Let's go. let's go, let it go, right? So when I talk about all the things in your body that kind of clump together and cause problems, it is, what I'm talking about is like cellulite, cysts, like congestion, lymphatic blocks. Cypress is really good for that. It's like all about breaking up blocks and breaking up little clumping of cells or different, things that shouldn't be clumping but should be flowing, right? So Cypress is really, really good for that. It is actually known as the ancient bliss of mankind. That was the old Greek word for Cypress, the ancient bliss of mankind. So if you think about what bliss is, it's like not feeling stuck, about having this flow, this lightness of being, no heavy legs, right? Cypress is like anti-heavy legs, anti-stuck. It's like lift and let go and have lots and lots of flow within you. So that's my stuff for Cypress. And I also covered a little bit of lemon and bergamot and Digestzen, all in 20 minutes. So let's end the recording, and the rest of you guys can actually hang out, and we can maybe ask some questions. For those of you who are joining me on Facebook Live, thank you so much. I hope you enjoyed this. If you join us live, you actually get to stick around and ask questions and all that. So till tomorrow. Oh, by the way, the day 2, I know I said 9 a.m., but there were a lot of people who messaged me and said that that's not going to work for them. So we're going to do 8 p.m. Central. I'm going to compromise a little bit and try and meet in the middle so our friends in Australia can also join us, okay? I don't have a team in Australia yet, but I'm so glad I have friends in Australia. So thank you all so very much. Stick around. Those of you who are here, we'll have a little chat. Okay, guys, that was it. So feel free to unmute yourself and tell me what you thought, or if you have any questions or areas that you wanted to clarify. And if you all are going to be quiet, it's going to be awkward. So don't be quiet. Let's talk. 1, 2, 3, go. All at the same time.
I'll talk. I have a question.
Okay.
I had actually a workshop last Thursday where one of the participants said that her daughter sweats profusely, that she injects Botox so she wouldn't sweat as much. I've never heard of it, and I was horrified that she would inject something. But do you think if she makes a deodorant with Cypress in it, will that help with that kind of sweating as well?
I have known it too, but every body is different. But if you're going to use an essential oil, Cypress would be a good one.
So it's worth a suggestion.
Yes, and here's the interesting thing about Cypress. I also said that it removes toxins, right? Mm-hmm. So not only is it preventing sweating, it's also removing toxins, which means that for the interim, for a brief period of time, this is going to be stinky. So it's not really a deodorant. It's going to stop sweating. So use other oils that will help kind of offset that. Just warn her that in the beginning, there might be a little bit of metallic smell coming out of there, but it's all good. It's like, sometimes you got to put your hand in the garbage disposer and clean it up. And you know what I mean? I really need to work on my analogies. They're not very good, but you know what I'm saying? Sometimes when you need to clean stuff up, like there's a little bit of stinky happening. So good question. Thank you. Who's next?
Are these all your full spectrum oils? Was that
No, there are more. I'm sure there are more. I just, wanted to just show you very clear examples. And now I think you're going to see more, like you're going to see it. I firmly believe that if you sit with any oil and like really like sit and like understand the full range of what they do, I believe that every oil has the potential to be a full spectrum oil, because I mean, if you think about it, like lavender, you look at it and you go, oh, that's what I need to, kind of have restful sleep. But lavender is also really good for people who have the grid to help them communicate. Like it's, kind of brings them into this place that helps them communicate. And communication and sleep are like opposite ends of the spectrum, right? So I believe that if you really look at every oil, you'll be able, I mean, frankincense, come on, that's like just the busybody of all oils, I I know everybody's like, oh, frankincense. I'm like busybody, you know. So anybody else have any questions?
I have a question.
Yes, Tracy.
So have you ever used Serenity, like the capsules or the oil, like during the day for just calming, like for like almost an anti-anxiety type thing?
I haven't, but I have worked with people who have children who have a lot of. Oh, and if you guys are not talking, if you could please mute yourselves, please. Thank you. Somebody is still kind of background noising. Okay. I make everything into verbs, but to come back to your question, I have worked with people who have PTSD and children who have like a lot of sensory all over the place. They're like really random and all over the place. Well, and they have found great success with the Serenity capsules. And I'm sure it has something to do with the lavender and the passion flower, but it's got a lot to do with the L-theanine that's in Serenity. That's one of the ingredients in Serenity gel caps. And the L-theanine, if you, anybody who does like herbal or naturopathic, more naturopathic approaches to dealing with like focus and dopamine receptor issues, L-theanine is that trigger that helps stabilize, like sensory overload that can lead to, symptoms that look like people are not paying attention to you. How was that, FDA?
May I add?
Yes.
I came back from convention when they introduced the Serenity gel caps, and I started it with my daughter as the aid that would help her manage her sensory integration, completely hyperactivity in a classroom setting. And we were amazed at how successful it was for her. She was actually able to make it through a class. And so we continued that whole year. In the meantime, I had told some other people about it, and the same thing. People who had overexcitability and inability to focus were able during the daytime. It did not put them to sleep. No. It just enhanced their quality of life.
Exactly. And it's that combination of that passion flower, the lavender, and that L-theanine. But I think that L-theanine is like really driving it in. And I've found that combining it with DDR prime will kind of you can either take the DDR prime as capsules or apply it along the spine. And what you're doing is you're redirecting that DNA response. And you're like, it's almost like that there's a tutor and that's showing, it's like, so the L-theanine and the lavender and the passion flower are doing something. And then that DDR prime is saying, okay, so all of you, were you paying attention, cells that were like, this is how we want to behave, right? This is how we want to behave. So it like throws away all the other responses that were being corrected by the Serenity gel cap. And so what happens is that where before you might need like one capsule a day or one capsule every few hours, or one capsule twice a day to like get through the school or get through that behavior modification. Now they need it maybe one every few days, and they still have the same results because that DDR prime is like modulating the response.
Exactly.
It's really cool. Great question. Thank you. And that's another great example of a product that does two completely, different things. Like it's like on two ends of the spectrum, but it works just as well. Anybody else have any questions or comments? Were you guys able to follow me okay? Like as I was talking? Yeah.
Pramela?
Yes?
I wasn't sure, maybe because I was writing what you said about the DDR prime and the Serenity soft gels, use them together. Is that what you were saying?
Yeah. So if you're taking, like you can either apply the liquid along the spine or take the DDR prime gel cap to kind of like, kind of lock into place that response that your body's receiving without having to constantly, get that correction.
Okay, and that's true with soft gels or any other oil.
I know specifically, I mean, the example was very clear with the Serenity soft gels for that specific thing. But for me personally, you know, I have a lot of autoimmune issues and inflammatory things. And so DDR Prime is a part of everything that I do, is part of my everyday. And so it's hard for me to like tell you if it's going to work for, you know, other things too, because you know, I'm a bad example, but theoretically, what does it do? It's DNA damage repair. And if you're using the oils to correct something and you like partner it with DDR prime, you're repairing that DNA response. Like that's like the equation, right? So it's a $55 combination of like oils that would cost you hundreds of dollars to put together. And it's formulated in a way that does something very, very important for you on a cellular level. If you guys have not muted, could you please mute yourself, please? So thank you. I hope that made it clear. Anybody else? I think I can take like a couple more questions.
I have
Hey,
one,
Pram.
Pamela. Sorry,
Go ahead.
Yes.
Oh, no, mine just real quick. I was going to say to the gal for deodorant, if you want to help with the smell, HD Clear Roll-On has been really successful. And I share that a ton in my gym with a lot of success. So I just wanted to share that.
I use HD Clear too. That was like my first deodorant.
Yeah, that's my daily. It's
But
amazing.
now I use the emotions kit because I feel like my pits need forgiveness, and then some days they need to be consoled.
Awesome.
Some days they need to be happy because, you know, I've abused them. Right.
That's
But
perfect.
HD Clear, it was my first.
Yeah, I found the HD Clear because I use a lot of oils for deodorant too. But the HD Clear covers the smell. Because if I eat animal or something and I know I'm going to be stinky, then that's what comes up. So
Yes, that's I'm on board with that. That's like my favorite deodorant. But yeah, I've moved on to like emotions oil. I never stick to one thing. You know, I kind of keep rotating and doing different things. Somebody else had a question. I think it was a guy. Was it?
Yeah, it was me.
Yeah. Hi, Eddie. Happy
Hey, Pram.
friend.
What's that?
Happy friend-iversary.
Yes. A whole week. It's amazing. My life has changed so much. Well, you had said something about Cypress that made me think of a gal that's in our business, where, excuse me, anytime she gets any kind of rejection or has any kind of setback, it's a big time reminder of some pretty hefty emotional failures that she's attached negative emotions to in her past. And I find myself having to work her through it and so on, just talk it out, do the work like we talked about at the event at Raleigh, that kind of thing. But there was something you said about Cypress that made me think maybe there was something in there that I could talk to her about. It has something to do with letting go or mourning or, just wrap up that mourning process or whatever. Maybe if you can clarify that a little bit more, it'd be awesome. Or even maybe some things that she could do.
Yeah. So like I said, I know, I think that if I had to categorize what oil I know the most about, and I know this is going to be very scary to you guys, but I think I know most about Cypress. Because you've heard me yammer on Facebook Live, I think a lot of you, about a lot of oils for a long time. And I like Cypress is like my number one like obsession. Cypress is really good for anger. And it's really good it actually mitigates anger. And it's really good for stress, tension, irritability, and that lock, where you feel, like something comes at you and you're like locked, you're frozen. It's almost like like how, we say that state of death, but Cypress has a duality to it. Another weird thing is that I know about Cypress, and I don't know how they figured this out, but Cypress is associated with the planet Pluto. And and I like to do a lot of like astrology and stuff like that. And the planet Pluto actually is the planet of transition and change, and the planet of growth. And so Cypress is associated with that. And also the number 8, which is not relevant right now. But what I think is really cool about Cypress is, let's just use the example of sleep. I don't know if you guys know this, but if you have difficulty falling asleep, Cypress is a really, really good oil to help you fall asleep. And if you're somebody who keeps waking up in the middle of the night, Cypress is a really good oil for that too. And what you want to do is you want to apply it along your meridian lines in your arm. And it is the oil that helps you let go, because sometimes when sleep eludes you, it's because you're holding on very tightly to your day, right? You're holding on to your day. You're holding on to your control. You're holding on to your wakefulness, and you're holding on to, and you're trying to push back on that healing, because when you sleep, you heal, right? And it's a subconscious thing. So when you use Cypress during the day, what's happening for you is like, it's all about the heart. Cypress follows the heart line. That's why you put it, on the inside of your forearms. It follows your heart line. It gets rid of toxins. It helps you hold on to what you need to hold on to and let go of what you need to let go of, which is why it makes it that full spectrum oil, which is so interesting. So every encounter and every experience that you have in life has the opportunity to teach you something. You hold on to that, and then you let go of your reaction, and you learn how to respond. So it's not about, life is not about reacting. Life is about responding. So in order for you to respond, you have to let go of the toxic to be able to move forward with motion and flow, which is why it's called that. And for people who get stuck by, whatever cellulite, right? Or cysts, or other like toxic clumping that happens in your body and in your mind and in your life, Cypress comes in, breaks it up, and helps your body release it. So that's how I see Cypress from that standpoint.
Holy cow! I wish I had had Cypress when I was dealing with my issues with my dad. Somebody just to take in the good thing about him and let go of the rest. So rubbing Cypress on the inside of the forearms, to allow the flow through the heart and so on. That's awesome. Thank you so much.
And it's such a subtle, Cypress has such a sweet and subtle smell to it, right? But and just sit for a moment and think about that. Think about the fact that Cypress can live for 4,000 years, and yet we cut it down and make it into coffins. Like that poetry and irony of that is like mind-blowing to me. I mean, we make it into coffins. It's the oil of mourning, and it's the oil of letting go. It's like in every aspect, Cypress has a duality to it that is, I think, the perfect metaphor for everything that can happen in life. And I'm telling you, that's one of the reasons why it is my absolute favorite oil. It is one of those things, like, people look at me and they're like, are you really being ridiculous right now? They're like, what's a good oil for hair? Like for hair, like a hair tonic. I'm like, Cypress. They're like, what are you talking about? I'm like, really? It's good for circulation. Right? It's like good for it is like good for circulation. They're like, what's your favorite skin oil? And they expect me to say Immortelle, but I'm like, $13, I think, Cypress. like super cheap oil, like under $20. I'm like, Cypress, it's so good for your skin, because it like unclogs your pores, and if your pores are unclogged, everything else doesn't matter. It's like really good for wrinkles and tightening your skin. It's good for weight loss and tightening your skin. It's like you let it go and you tighten it up. What? So I'm very excited about Cypress.
That's awesome. And I love that the part where you talked about like how it'll bring the solution without the side effects. Like when you talked about like it can stop bleeding, but it doesn't, it actually increases circulation, which is fabulous. Right. And I remember that. So do you know where doTERRA sources it?
That's not my strong suit. Like I really so most of the time I just guess.
It's just mindless trivia. Okay, cool.
But maybe from Cypress. I don't know.
Awesome. Thank you, Pramela. Appreciate it.
You're welcome. One more question. Anybody? Or comment or reflection or anything?
I have a question.
Yes, Dana?
And I was also going to say another great thing for deodorant is the On Guard spray. It works really good to spray it in your armpits if you're super stinky.
Yeah, I've done that too. And don't
But,
follow me. I've also done breathe vapor stick. That's like for the fierce, like the savage
Ooh.
people. Savage
Ow.
people. Savage people can use breathe vapor
Yeah.
stick. But yeah, the On Guard spray is really good too. Dana, you had a question?
Yes. My aunt
Well,
recently.
oh,
Oh,
Yes. Go ahead. Sorry, who am I interrupting? I can't quite tell.
I was just gonna say. No, I was just gonna give the tip on the deodorant, but I was gonna ask you: would Cypress be a good oil to use for someone who has like dystonia?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, you're asking the wrong person because I told you, right? I like to use Cypress for everything. But yes.
Well, I just didn't know if it would be good for like a muscle relaxer, if there's other oils that would be better.
Well, Cypress is actually really good for like any kind of muscle issue, because think about it, I told you it's really good for anything circulation. Anytime you have a problem with, you know, like muscle, it is because there's a toxic overload of lactic acid building up in your muscle that's causing an inflammatory response. And so when you're using an oil like Cypress, it is breaking up that, you know, like what I told you, that like gossip, that little group of hooligans that's causing that problem, is breaking that up. Anytime there's a clump of inflammatory response, or clump of like fat cells or mitochondrial issues or anything that's kind of blocking the flow in your body, Cypress is the oil. And I'm telling you, it's hard for you to go anywhere if there's a tree blocking your way, or and Cypress is a juggernaut that clears the path for every aspect, every body system. So I would say, yeah. And actually it is I think it's in the Modern Essential book that it says that it helps with, I don't have the Modern Essential book with me, but I think it is listed somewhere. I remember reading it, that it's good for muscle, like muscle tension and muscle pain. So Dana, let's go to you now.
You kind of, I think, might have already answered it, but I'll just, my aunt just had a significant stroke a couple days ago. And so like combining Cypress with like the DDR prime and things like that going on her, that's just going to be helping with circulation, the cell repair in her brain, all that kind of stuff.
Right, because, okay, so this is where I get uncomfortable, because I don't like giving suggestions for like actual medical issues.
Yeah, no, I totally understand. Yeah.
But from supporting your body, from that standpoint, when you have a stroke, there is a mechanical and an electrical interruption. And anytime there's a mechanical and an electrical interruption in your brain or any part of your body overcompensates by releasing chemicals that are not at healthy levels. And so that right there follows that rule of, Cypress helping your body remove some of that toxic, the toxic chemicals. And of course, that's that circulatory aspect of it. And the Cypress is also really good for supporting respiratory function. So even, how I said, if you have congestion or anything like that. So respiratory function, it's really good. It's going to improve circulation, which means it's going to help with the oxygen exchange in your body, which is never a bad thing after you've suffered from a stroke.
Sure. Okay. Thank you. I really appreciate it.
You're welcome. Are we good, guys? Was this hopefully a good use of your 45 minutes? And I think that I kind of met the goal today of like keeping my actual presentation within 20 minutes. So I'll see you guys again tomorrow. Make sure you check your email. You'll get a different link. I have to do it like day by day, the link. I can't use the same link because I'm using this as a webinar so I can see everybody and post on Facebook. So bear with me on that and just check and make sure. And if you haven't already joined, if you're on Facebook, go to Oil Joy Live, and then you'll be able to see like updates and information there. I'm going to try and keep this as public as possible, because I believe that we're stronger together. However, I do appreciate, and I'm so grateful for those of you who contributed with a little love donation. You'll be able to continue to do so throughout the entirety of this event. And we're using the funds to for one, help with domestic abuse rehabilitation programs, again, because we're seeing massive cuts, in that aspect of the program. In fact, all domestic abuse programs. and also to help with PTSD. This June is actually PTSD Awareness Month. And, PTSD is something that I think that, a lot of people have and don't realize that they have. So, we're trying to kind of create a little bit more awareness and a more awareness with like service providers, and to help people who are suffering with PTSD have a little bit of support in learning not just about the oils, but also to be able to go to see their counselors where their insurance is not covering it. So that's what we're trying to raise money for. So again, your tokens are very, very well used and very, received with great gratitude. So thank you all so very much. Have a wonderful week. And thank you for spending your weekend with me. And, I know it's really late for some of you, and I really appreciate that. And I look forward to getting to know all of you a little bit better. Hey, Todd, it's our friend-iversary too. Yeah. So anyway, thank you all very much, and have a wonderful week. I'll see you guys tomorrow.